Hey everybody, Brian here from the Cabinet Joint. Today we're not talking about a cabinet assembly so much as we are about the installation of this tandem trash can pull-out unit itself. Something to note, we do carry this trash can and the cabinet as a unit. It's called a base trash can pull-out cabinet. We have a separate video that talks about that cabinet and how it goes together, but suffice it to say, you can order just this unit itself, which is the trash cans and the wood structure that carries them, as a standalone unit. It's just called a tandem trash can pull-out. Does not come with glides and hardware, but your sales rep should automatically add them. Some things to know about this unit. It's available in single or double cutout or no cutout, okay? The single cutout is obviously for one can. The double, which is what we're showing here, will house two cans. Or you can have it where this whole thing at the top is just one solid piece of wood and you would do the cutout for maybe you have a funny hamper kind of thing or some kind of a hanging basket you want to put in there. You can cut that out with a jigsaw to fit pretty much anything you want to drop in there. So there's single, double, or no cutout. On the single cutout, the drawer box has to be between 14 and 5/8 and 19 and 1/8. Okay, if it doesn't fall in that range, you can't get two cutouts, it's only going to get one. When you get bigger than that, all the way up to I believe 28 and 1/8, that's where you can get the two cutouts. So be mindful of the cabinet you're trying to put this in. A lot of people automatically think that, oh, I'm doing an 18-inch cabinet, 15-inch width opening, and I want a double. You cannot fit a double in that cabinet. You've got to go all the way up to a 24-inch cabinet box or 23 and 1/8 or whatever before you're going to be able to fit the double can pull out or cut out. So bear that in mind. Everybody wants trash and recycling. Make sure you've got adequate cabinet width. Your cabinet coach can, of course, always guide you on that. The unit itself, you can order trash cans for it separately. You can get the 35 quart or you can get the 50 quart. I think it's 7 and 13 gallons respectively. The taller ones are meant to go in a cabinet that does not have a drawer box at the top. This one does, so we're going to use the smaller cans, the 7 quart or 7 gallon rather. So make sure you're ordering the right ones for your application. You don't want to order the short cans and have a tall cabinet, end up having your cans 6 inches off the cabinet floor. You just lost all that space. So if you have any questions on which unit to use, your sales rep can certainly guide you. There's some nuances to this unit you want to know about in terms of the drawer glides and how they're occupying this area here. There's some narrow clips that we talk about in the installation video. Any questions you might have during the ordering process or with the installation of this unit, just talk to your cabinet coach. They'd be happy to help you out. You can always email them or reach them at 888-211-6482. But let's get started on actually showing you how this bugger goes in. Okay, let's get going with the installation of the trash pull-out itself. This unit is made by our supplier directly. It's not made by an aftermarket company like Revishelf or something like that. So it's basically a drawer box. It's a giant drawer box with a cutout for your trash pails, and it takes the nice Bloom Tandem undermount glides. This unit does not mount to the floor of the cabinet. It suspends from the side of the cabinet. So let's talk about what you're going to get with this unit. Of course, you're going to get your trash cans. There's a 35 quart version, which is what you're looking at here. There's a 50 quart version, which would utilize the entire cabinet. You wouldn't get a drawer above. So we're using the shorter cans that would sit in here like this, front to back. You're also going to get two runners that go, they're kind of a cleat that go front to back inside the cabinet like this. Their purpose is to flush out the cabinet side with the front frame so we can install our drawer tracks right to this, and that gives us the spacing we need. If we didn't have these drawer tracks would be against the wall and the drawer box wouldn't fit. So these come right from the supplier with the cabinet, the BTCP cabinet. If you didn't order the BTCP cabinet and all you ordered was this, they still come with it, okay? You don't have to order the cabinet to get these. So if you're someone who's watching this and you only ordered the trash pull-out, that's gonna come with it as well. You're gonna get these two funny looking clips. We're also used to seeing the Bloom Tandem orange clips, the release handles. The problem is on this particular, I'll call it drawer box, they don't fit here. The orange handle would stick way out and then be into our area where the trash cans can fall into. So they give us these narrower ones, and these kind of sit like that, and they mount, I'll show you in a minute, but they mount here instead of through the back. And it's what Bloom calls their narrow clip. It allows us to take up lesser real estate on the edges of the drawer box and allow plenty of clearance for the trash can to fall through. You're also going to get your tracks that come with it, whether you ordered the cabinet or you ordered just the trash can pull-out itself. You're going to get your Bloom tracks that come with it automatically. And as far as what you're going to need to supply for tools, you're going to want a level to make sure that it's tipped front to back, it's level. Phillips head screw gun, Okay, for screws, you want to make sure the screw is going to countersink into the wood a little bit, or at least be flush with it, because if it's bulging above, like a panhead screw, your drawer glide won't sit tight to that. So we want to use something that's going to countersink into the wood a little bit. 1.25 inches is the right length. And what we would like to see, because these units are carrying a bit of weight, if you have a lot of heavy wet garbage in there as well as your recycling behind, they're carrying a bit of weight. With a screw like this, probably just do 6 of them. If you want to also pin it in place, if you got your stapler from other assembly handy and you want to staple it in place before you screw it, that's all fine. You're not going to see any of this because once the trash pullout's in, it covers it all. Of course, I got a marking pencil. We do a lot of line striking and that kind of thing, and a tape measure. Aside from that, it's a pretty straightforward install, so let's get rolling with it. Okay, the first thing we have to figure out is the location of these cleats that are going to carry our drawer glides. What we don't want is the glides to be set so this trash can is way up high, because now I've got no room for garbage to mound up a little bit. None of us are so good at taking our trash out that we empty it when it's here. It's always bulging a little bit. So I don't want it way up here. I want the trash can maybe 1 inch or so above the cabinet bottom. So to do that, we'll give you the dimension here. What you're looking for is 10 inches off the cabinet floor. So I measure 10 inches from the floor. I strike a line, and you can see I've already got lines in my cabinet because I already did this. Take one of my cleats and I put the top of the cleat at that mark, my 10-inch mark, and then holding it there, you can level it if you want. Be a good idea. You throw a level on it. Yep, it's level. And then you strike a line all the way across the top of the cleat. And now what I can do is, I'll go off camera to do it, but I'm going to put 6 screws in this cleat to hold it in nice and tight. I'm going to do that on both sides, and when I'm done, you'll come back and see that I've got both cleats mounted with 10 inches to the top of the cleat. Okay, let's summarize where I'm at. I've got both my brackets, the runners that came with my trash pullout, are installed 10 inches to the top on both of them, screwed in, and they're both level. Okay, so this gives me the platform on which to now install my drawer glides. So now we got to determine where the front of the drawer glide lands based on whether we're doing inset or overlay. If we're doing inset, which is what we're doing now, in either case, all 3 screws of this drawer glide, front, back, and middle, are all going to go into this block of wood, even on overlay. Remember, on overlay, when you're putting in a tandem drawer glide, typically the front screw goes into the front frame. Not going to be the case here, because our drawer box has a little extra block of wood back there to carry this special narrow bracket, which pushes the whole drawer further out, and we want to make sure it's back in where it needs to be. So suffice it to say, if you're inset, make a line a little more than 7/8, call it 15/16 behind the front frame, make a line there. If you're overlay, it's about 3/16 of an inch behind the back of the front frame, make a line there. So overlay is 3/16 of an inch back, inset is about 15/16 back. And that becomes the front of your drawer track. So now all I've got to do is line up for my inset application, the front of the glide with that mark I made, 15/16 back. And then I'm going to go ahead and install my 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, all the way across. And one note about installing these tracks I wanted to mention is you have a series of holes. Any of these holes are fair game for you to use. But because we aren't using the inset mounting brackets for you to act as a gauge, I would suggest using the slotted ones so that you can still move. You can loosen the screws up and move this fore and aft in case your dimension wasn't quite right. And when you put your door on, your door is either too far in or too far out. You can always move this backward and forward on that slotted one and lock it down with screws and these other holes if you'd like. So that's what I'm doing. Going to use those 3 elongated keyhole slots. Okay, so now we have these little narrow locking clips, not like the orange ones that you get with most of your drawer boxes. These ones are meant to be that narrow deal. They only have height adjustments. They don't have left to right adjustments, but they're much narrower, and they go in with these holes right here. I'm going to mount right there, and we're going to pre-drill that hole because these do not come pre-drilled, so I don't want to crack that little block of wood they screw into. Okay. So now I have this clip is on the far outside, just like it is with the orange clips. I'm going to go ahead and do that one, and we'll come back and snap it in. Okay, so once I had those tracks on, I just popped the drawer box, or it's a drawer box for all intents and purposes. Put the drawer box on and slide it until it clicks, just like you do with the orange handles. Might have to fuss with these a little more. Again, they're not as clean as the orange release handles, and there's no left or right adjustment. So you might have to reach under here and pull the glide onto place, but it snaps in. So now, if you notice, when I drop a trash can bin in and I shut it, I'm clearing the bottom of the cabinet and I got plenty of room above. So I can put both my trash pails in at the end of this exercise. Now, the fun part starts. You've got no door on there yet, so we have to figure out where the door sits in relation to this, mark it, and then mount our door from behind. So let's get started with that. Okay, so for putting the door on, as opposed to the ready to install undermount trash cans that mount to the floor, it's a different pullout that we offer. That one has left to right adjustability as well as up and down. So you can get the door pretty close and then adjust it in with the adjusters on the door glides themselves. Those little Bloom narrow ones do not have left to right. You recall me saying that earlier? So you don't have any leeway if you get this dimension wrong. So rather than trying to measure things and then put the door on and find out we were wrong and we can't adjust it, what we prefer to do is clamp it on. So we put the door in place. This is inset. I got my little shims down here that give me my rise off the bottom, so I've got a consistent gap. And then we ran some of these blue Irwin clamps that are holding the door to the pullout on the inside. So now with the top drawer gone, I can reach inside and put a top screw and a bottom screw right about here inside that drawer pullout into the frame of the door, not the panel, the frame of the door. So we'll show you what that looks like from the inside in a minute. If you're overlay, you're like, oh, what if I'm overlay? It's the same thing. Your door is gonna lay flush to the bottom of the front frame, and it's gonna lay all the way over the cabinet here, so you can just clamp it on the same exact way. And when you push forward with your drawer, pull out on the inside, up against the back of the cabinet and screw it on, it's gonna be correct. So either way, you're gonna use these clamps to hold it on. If you don't have clamps, get a friend. That's all I can tell you. You're gonna need to hold it very rigid. I guess if you had somebody who could hold it on there for you, that might work, but these clamps just act as a super second set of hands. So I'm gonna go in with my screws. I wanna use a screw that's no deeper than 5/8 thick drawer box, 3/4 thick framing, so something less than 1.5 inches, inch and a quarter would be ideal. To run in there, you don't want whatever screw you use to poke through the front of this, so make sure you don't countersink it too far and drive it through. Be very, very careful. Okay, that completes the installation of the tandem trash pullout. You can see we got our nice gapping here. That's probably, in my mind, probably the hardest part of this installation really is getting the door dialed in just right because you don't have that left and right adjustability. So if you have any questions, give your cabinet coach a call at 888-211-6482. Shoot them an email. They'll be happy to guide you through any questions you might have with the installation of this pullout. Thanks for watching.